You might start your lesson today by talking about what are some of your favorite Bible verses. What are some of your all-time favorite Bible verses? And if I were in the room, I would speak up and say one of my all-time favorite Bible verses is Ecclesiastes 7:18, which says, "It is good to grasp the one and not let go of the other. Whoever fears God will avoid all extremes." The Message paraphrases this by saying, "It's best to stay in touch with both sides of an issue. A person who fears God deals responsibly with all of reality, not just a piece of it." And that verse will be a real key to understanding today's passage. But before we get into today's passage, I want to remind you again that the key to making your teaching unforgettable. You want to make your teaching unforgettable? The key to making your teaching unforgettable, I said it before, do you remember what it is? The key to making your teaching unforgettable is the effective use of review. The effective use of review. Paul said, keep reminding God's people of these things. And so you do well from time to time, maybe not every week, but on a regular basis to review and ask your people the question, what have we learned so far about getting along with each other? The key idea that we want to look at in this section is the quality of your life. And I would say it that way and say, well, how do we finish that sentence, friends? The quality of your life is all about the quality of your relationships. If you've got a good marriage, life is good. If you've got a good relationship with your kids, life is good. If you've got a good relationships at work, life is good. If you struggle in your relationships, your marriage, your relationship with your kids, your relationships at work, and so on, life's going to be pretty hard for you. The quality of your life is all about the quality of your relationships. And so on a regular basis, we want to devote ourselves to learning how to get along with one another. And you might ask your people to pass around your quarterlies and simply ask them, just look back over the last few weeks and refresh our memories as to what you have learned. In the first week, we learned that we are to remain in God's love. Remain in God's love. Jesus said, "As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love." And this may not seem like it relates to getting along with one another, but we said it relates to getting along with one another because we want everyone in the group to start their day with their Bible in their lap and start their day in prayer and start their day thinking about how deeply God loves you. He's counted the hairs on your head. He cares for you. He has your picture on his refrigerator. And when you stand under the faucet of God's love, then you have a full cup to be able to pour into others. The second thing we looked at is we all want to be a Barnabas. Devote yourself to encouraging one another. Barnabas, Joseph, a Levite of Cyprus, whom the apostles nicknamed Barnabas, which means son of encouragement. I think if he were writing today, he would simply say they came to call him Mr. Encouragement. And that is the reputation you want to try to earn. You want to come to Sunday school every week asking yourself, how can I encourage someone today? How can I strengthen someone and build them up and motivate someone today? That's the second thing we looked at. The third thing we looked at is the idea that eventually forgiveness will become the most important issue in your life, either because you do something you are ashamed of or because someone hurts you so badly you don't think you can possibly forgive them. And you come to forgive them by thinking about how deeply God has forgiven you. God has forgiven you a gazillion, and he's asked you to forgive others 10,000. And yes, the 10,000 is a large amount, but it is nothing compared to the amount that God has forgiven you. Colossians 3:13 says, "Bear with each other." You might read that verse and ask, what does that teach us about relationships? Bear with each other. And it teaches us that people are going to irritate you. Get used to it. Get ready for it. Expect it. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. As the Lord forgave you a gazillion, you ought to forgive one another the 10,000. Today we want to talk about the idea that we're to serve, and I want to add this line to it. We were to serve except when we shouldn't. We want to serve except when we shouldn't. And let's see if we can find that from the text today. So we want to start in Galatians 5, beginning in verse 13. "You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love." Kind of the key verse of our passage. "For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. Brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently." What do we learn about serving one another from that passage right there? But watch yourself, or you may be tempted. carry each other's burdens. That's one thing we want to grasp. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. If anyone thinks they are something when they are not, they deceive themselves. Each one should test their own actions, then they can take pride. Let me pause right there. We're not going to get in this in depth, but you might pause there and talk about, is pride a good thing? Is it ever okay to have